Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shamara Garner, Chief of Police for the Houston Independent School District. At HISD, the safety and security of our students, our staff, and community is my top priority. Our approach to safety is comprehensive and layered. We are a team that includes campus officers, patrol officers, criminal investigators, our safety and emergency management team, as well as the district's crisis response and behavioral support team. Our layered approach also includes external partners like the Houston Police Department, other local and federal agencies, all working to protect and support every HISD student every day. I know as a nation, families are worried about their children's safety when they are in school. Here in Houston, recent events, weapons found on campus, threats on social media have caused concern. I'm here to assure you that we share your concern, and we take these issues very seriously. I want to share more about what we do every day to prevent incidents and investigate them when they occur. Safety begins at the campus level. Visitor management is the first critical part of our safety strategy. HISD engages in best practices by using systems such as Raptor to ensure we know who is on our campus at all times. One of the most visible components of our school safety strategy is our campus and patrol officers. We have campus officers assigned at every high school and every middle school. Our patrol coverage extends to elementary schools to ensure quick response to any safety incident. Our patrol services operate 24 hours a day to maintain constant vigilance. Our students and families are the final and in many ways most important partner. We teach our students to speak out when they see something or hear something suspicious. HISD encourages all students to engage in see something, say something, do something protocols. We practice and we prepare. Students and staff regularly practice the processes and protocols that will protect them when an incident occurs. Campus staff are trained to recognize any potential issue. There is a clear chain of communication so that the appropriate school staff can quickly notify HISD PD. And decisions and actions are collaborative and take place as quickly as possible. Our officers are trained in relational policing because our students and our staff must know and trust our officers are genuinely involved and committed to their safety. These relationships encourage them to come forward with important information that can help keep everyone safe. Families, please remind your children to report any suspicion, any concerns through our tip line by speaking directly with an officer, teacher, principal, or other trusted adult. I want to take a moment to say very clearly, we take every threat seriously. We assume a threat is real until we can prove otherwise. Every threat is thoroughly investigated, and we are prepared to take legal action when necessary. These include addressing hoax, toy guns, fake threats with the seriousness they deserve. When a threat is made, whether online or in person, they put the safety of children and schools at risk. So making these threats is an actual crime. Parents, explaining the seriousness of the situation to your children can help keep everyone safe. Now I'll turn it over to Director Straw for opening remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Craig Straw. I'm the Director of Safety and Emergency Management for Houston Independent School District. I want to start by saying we've been following up on recent safety incidents at a few schools. with additional resources and police patrols, while we work with our partners in law enforcement to investigate these incidents or threats. In cases where increased security is necessary because of a recent incident or threat, our emergency response team stands ready to respond and provide additional security. Threats to our schools and community are taken very seriously and are immediately assigned to an investigator. Recently, our proactive measures yielded an arrest related to a threat that circulated just last week, highlighting our commitment to swift action. We work to change the narrative around reporting threats by encouraging students to come forward with information. It's essential that we move away from the stigma that snitching and foster an environment where sharing information is seen as a courageous act of community service. When a threat is identified or reported, we have access to numerous tools. This includes the deployment of drones, K-9s trained to detect explosive bombs during those threats. Our officers conduct internal and external sweeps of the campus. We also utilize K-9s from partner agencies, particularly on large campuses. I also want to share a few robust safety protocols that we have in place for students and staff to ensure we are keeping our schools safe in a variety of situations. We use these measures in the event of a threat on campus or in an area surrounding the campus. First is the school lockdown. We have implemented strict protocols for lockdowns for threats like an active shooter. During a lockdown, all doors are closed and locked, with no one allowed in or out. Students remain stationary to ensure safety. Only first responders are allowed to enter the building. We also use a secure mode, where outside doors remain locked, but movement is allowed within the building. This mode is used frequently when there's a threat in the neighborhood outside of the school. Finally, we have a hold protocol. A hold, all individuals stay where they are and remain quiet. This protocol is typically employed during an incident such as a bomb threat and or a student or staff medical emergency. All of our resources and our entire focus in the event of a threat or an emergency must be focused on the safety of those inside of the campus. We understand parents will be concerned to hear that the school has gone into a lockdown or is responding to a threat. And it's every family's instinct to want to move more information and to come to the school and pick up their students. We ask for patience, and we'll give you information immediately after the threat has been addressed and everyone inside is safe. When a campus goes into a lockdown or a secure mode, please remember we will not let anyone in or out of the building. Please do not come to the campus in these situations, as you may interfere with a first responder working to mitigate the incident. We will notify you as soon as the lockdown or the secure mode is lifted, and if you need to pick up your student, we'll let you know when and where you can pick up your student. These protocols and tools together work to maintain a safe learning environment. We continuously assess and refine our safety measures to ensure they are effective and up to date. Thank you.
All right, we can start with some questions.
Yeah, just let me know if you have questions, raising your hand to do an alternative fashion. So, first question, Kira.
My question is about Sterling High School. Is there metal detectors? Were those implemented this morning for the student body there?
As it pertains to metal detectors, we are always evaluating and reevaluating tools that can help keep students safe. We currently do not have metal detectors in our on our campuses. However, there is active discussion as it pertains to utilizing metal weapon detection systems. But I want to say, in light of that, we need to know that not any one resource is a panacea as it pertains to keeping kids safe, and as it pertains to our weapon detection system and the discussions about that. There'll be more information forthcoming.
This could be for both of you. TA Commissioner Mike Morath today is urging lawmakers to get a statewide ban on cell phones in schools. What are your thoughts on that, especially given there could be an emergency in a school? Some parents would like to be able to communicate with their kids. Do you guys have thoughts on what you would like to see done across the state?
As it pertains to cell phones, particularly if there's is a threat, an active threat on campus, and the campus is in a lockdown situation, protocol for lockdown is lights out, silence. I understand the need for communication, and parents want to make sure that their children are safe. So there's a time and a place for cell phones. But again, as it pertains to a lockdown situation, the best practice is to remain silent. And so the use of cell phones, as natural as it may be counterproductive. Mr. Shaw, you want to add anything?
Yeah, do you have any thoughts on, do you like the idea of having cell phones not in public schools across the state?
So we have cell phones, and our theory is we're going to collect those cell phones. As Chief Gardner stated, in the middle of an emergency, those types of communications can give sounds and give away a position for a student. They create an environment that makes it a lot harder for the first responder to narrow down where that threat is. So that's why we use that silence, okay? What we have agreed upon is once the police department has done all actions to render the campus safe once again, we will allow the students to get their cell phones. So right now, those cell phones are collected up, but once the chief of police is guaranteed that it's safe and we've gone through our protocols, of course, naturally, we'll release those phones back to the students so they can communicate with their loved ones and let them know that they're okay.
When you say collected, what do you mean, like at the start of the emergency or at the start of the school day?
So our policy, we're working towards a new policy, and that policy is the students put their cell phones in their backpack during instructional periods. So they're not having the cell phone readily out and available during an instructional period. It is with the student, but it's in their backpack. So the student does not have the device right there in their hands. In an emergency, they're going to move from where they're currently seated to the pre-identified safe location inside the room and leave that device in their backpack. Once the police have cleared the area and said it is safe to remove back to your location, gather your device and contact your loved ones, that's what we'll do.
Megan, and then Margaret.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about communication with parents. We've heard some frustration from parents when they hear a vague message about a threat against their campus and they're not really sure how to ascertain if their parent is safe, if their child is safe. Can you talk about why HISD chooses to release the information it does and why it can't release more information about the threats against certain campuses?
Again, I can totally understand a parent's desire to want information, to need information, because as a parent, our number one goal is to keep our kids safe. When we are involved in a threat situation, particularly a lockdown, campus officers and staff are laser focused on addressing that threat and addressing it properly. We do have to balance that with providing accurate and updated information. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. But we do want parents to know that we are committed to communicating with them as often and making sure, again, that we are communicating with accurate information.
Margaret.
How do you protect against someone bringing a knife in, as this happened, or a gun in, as has happened at other times? Is there any sort of search of the backpacks, or how do you, are you just relying on other kids to spot it, or maybe a teacher to spot it?
The fact that weapons are found on campuses speaks to the effectiveness of our layered approach. Students trust officers and staff and share that information with them to help keep students safe. Doing so, again, it bodes well to the relational policing that I spoke to earlier as it pertains to keeping kids safe.
Let's go with him and then.
Yes, some parents have, again, expressed concerns about HISD's open door policy. Has there been thought about that, given what's happened at these high schools and the threats, maybe rethinking the open door policy, because some parents are very, very concerned about that?
Sure. As Chief of Police, I believe in and I'm confident in our ability to keep kids safe. As it pertains to open doors and doors, period, the most important thing is making sure that our exterior doors are closed and locked. Also, making sure that we are adhering to protocols that are already in place, particularly our visitor management systems. Again, as I mentioned earlier, knowing who is in our building and why. Also, if a classroom door is open and in the event that there is an active threat, those doors are open, but they're in a locked mechanism or a locked position, whereby when they are closed, they do not need physical manipulation. If a door is open and say there is a threat, There may be kids in the library or kids that are in open areas. Having that door open can help usher those kids into a secure place, and that door would be closed, again, without being closed and locked, without physical manipulation.
Fox and then community.
These threats are kind of going on across all school districts in the Houston area, not all of them, but where are they stemming from? Are these students playing pranks, or are they trying to get out of the school day? From your experience, what are you seeing?
It's difficult to answer. Some threats could be because kids think they're funny. Some could be a hoax. Some very well could be a cry for help. What's important for students to know is that when a threat is made and it invokes fear, that's a crime. There are ways to seek help that the district has in place to help someone if it is indeed a cry for help. But again, as I stated, every time a threat is made, whether it's thought of as a hoax or a joke, we take it seriously. It's assigned to an investigator, and we will seek criminal prosecution.
Perfect segue. You mentioned whether it's a joke or not, if a kid makes a threat, it's a crime. Do you ever find a situation where you have kids that make a threat, no matter the reason, you want to pursue charges, but the DA doesn't take them on?
That does happen. In all of those cases, well, for the most part, a behavioral threat assessment is conducted. The DA does use that information to determine whether or not charges would be accepted. But at the end of the day, more times than not, there are administrative consequences in terms of suspensions and what have you.
Do you have any frustrations with the DA not taking some of those charges?
I wouldn't say frustration. I understand that we all, obviously we work collaboratively. We do our part in presenting it. All cases are not the same. Every child's situation differs. So as long as, we're doing what we can and should, and again, we're doing all we can to keep students safe.
Megan?
Yeah, I wanted to ask kind of about giving more details about the arrest was made in regard to the social media threat the student that was arrested. If that has any connection to any of the weapons that were found on campus during the past couple of days.
I can't speak to specifics, and if you want more information, you can get with our communications. The arrests we've made recently as it pertains to social media threats are clearly the social media threats. The arrests we made with weapons and kids being in possession of weapons are separate.
How many arrests have you made in regards to weapons?
Here recently, I'd have to get you, I don't want to misspeak, so if you could get with communications to get that information.
Margaret, we're gonna find that number for you. Margaret?
Just so I understand it, say a teacher is out in one of the T-shacks, which there are a lot of, and those seem more exposed than in the main building. Is there a panic button or something that teachers hit? How does that work to let y'all know that something has gone wrong?
So House Bill 3 has made it law in the state of Texas that every independent school district adopt a silent panic alarm technology system. HISD has adopted Raptor Technology Solutions. So within every classroom, every teacher has the ability to send a tone from anywhere at any time. All they have to have is it programmed on their devices. We also have devices in the classroom that also have it programmed on it. So they have two opportunities to get to a silent panic alarm technology. That technology goes throughout the campus. It rings immediately to all of us in our emergency control center and to HISD Police Department's dispatch center. So every time that a tone goes out, we hear it.
Who decides to close the door? Does the teacher decide?
That is when the teachers are trained when the tone goes out. There depends on what type of alert is coming. Depends upon the posture. There are different actions for each different alert, and unfortunately, I'm not going to go into the tactics and techniques that we use to protect our students and staff because I don't want to expose them to any greater risk.
Okay.
Kim Piercy?
The young man who was arrested at Sterling, he's 17. Do you plan to have him charged as an adult, or is that been something, well, not you, but you discussed it with the district attorney's office?
That'll be a decision made by the district attorney office, but you are correct. In the state of Texas, 17 years and older, you are considered an adult as it pertains to criminal matters.
I wanted to ask what the district is planning on doing in upcoming weeks to ensure the safety of students, if there's increased police presence, more patrols, what the safety measures.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, in this heightened area, we have increased our visibility on campuses. understanding, like I said earlier, some high schools have 3 campuses, some middle schools have 2. So if something has happened at a particular campus, we will pull from another campus to address that particular issue. Also, as I mentioned earlier, our external partners, we utilize them. They provide extra coverage, be it HPD, Metro, the various precincts, and the Sheriff's Department. We also, push come to shove, our criminal investigators that are normally plainclothes officers, we put them in a uniform and we put them on campus. So we do what we need to do to keep kids safe.
How many officers are in HISD police department?
We have over 200.
Is that enough for all the schools, the whole schools? There's so many schools.
No police chief is going to say he or she has enough. But with our number, I am confident that we are able to keep kids safe.
Katira?
Was there any, what was this decision-making in keeping Sterling open today, considering what happened yesterday and what types of resources might be available for students who might be scared to come back to class?
That was a decision made by administration. Again, the wanding that occurred earlier was a mechanism used to ensure safety, hopefully, bring comfort not only to the students but to the parents as well. We do have extra coverage, as I mentioned earlier, as it pertains to Sterling High School.
So no metal detectors but wands were used?
Yes, this morning it was. And if I misspoke earlier, I apologize. Wanding did occur today.
Was that only at Sterling or was it at other campuses?
Well, principals have the ability per board policy to use wanding if violence has occurred on the campus. In heightened situations, they have that authority to do so. That is something that is done by the administration, but law enforcement is close by, just in case contraband or weapons are discovered.
I also wanted to ask about, you said HISD PD has more than 200 officers. I believe state law requires a police officer on every campus. Is HISD police requiring filling the function?
No, if you're referring to House Bill 3, it's stating an armed person, not necessarily a police officer.
Is HISD in compliance with that?
Again, we have officers at every high school, every middle school, and we are adding armed guards to our elementary campuses. And that is one of the reasons we sought and received the good cause exception.
That was my question as well. How much progress have you made on getting armed staff at the elementary schools?
We are adding progressively. And I'm cautious in reference to addressing that because I don't want to speak to the vulnerability of our elementary schools. Whether there's an armed guard or not, our patrol officers and our external partners supplement the safety of those students.
Any other questions? Yeah, Daisy?
Yes, a question about, is there any threat right now against the district in general, like state-wide district?
Well, the social media threats that have been circulating is not just against our district. Other schools, other ISDs throughout the state are experiencing the same thing.
Just one last one. You did mention sometimes it happens where you do an oppressive charge, but you're not able to get it against the prosecutors. How common is that, Chief?
I don't have a number for you. Again, it's up to the district attorney, and they weigh the evidence. They weigh the student and their level of the ability to comprehend. All of those things fall within their, I guess, area to make a decision whether or not charges would be accepted.
Does it ever lead to frustrations on your department side?
No, as I stated earlier, we work cooperatively with the district attorney's office because, again, not every situation is the same. If nothing else, that issue was addressed in terms of, one, making sure that that child does not have access to a weapon. Obviously, the parents are notified in reference to a situation like that. Any type of suspension or expulsion occurs. There are also opportunities for any type of counseling that may be needed. So I wouldn't say frustration on our part.
Good, thank you.
In terms of Sterling, did you ever, have you
I'm sorry?
in terms of Sterling, have you ascertained what the fight was about?
No, sir.
You don't know if it was ongoing, just a spur of the moment?
No, I can't. I don't have that information readily. The investigation is still active, so I don't have that information.
Any other question on security measures? All right, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
One more question. You want me to-